Good morning. What a beautiful day to make new changes in your life, and welcome to our call today on creating your signature talk and changing the world. So just to let you know that we are recording, and I will be maybe taking you off mute if we do any Q&As. So for those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Carol Maureen Friesen, and I have the Lightworkers Institute in Canada, and I'm really pleased to introduce you to a colleague of mine, and he's come here to share with you a lot of his wisdom. So I'd love to introduce you to Jon Block. And Jon, through his company Here and Now since 2011, Jon Block has personally mentored over 200 to 500 different speakers, coaches, entrepreneurs to use public speaking to dramatically grow their revenue and their social impact. These entrepreneurs discover their original voice and their highest contribution while earning hundreds and thousands of dollars. Jon has spoken on 100-plus stages, sharing the stage with the biggest leaders in the entrepreneurial and human potential movement. Jon was named one of the top 20 conscious entrepreneurs of 2013. And Jess Corrine of Thrive Academy said, Jon cares so much about making a difference for people, he is willing to risk anything. An incredible man. Jon is most proud of Here and Now signature 3-day speakers training and joint venture live event, Speakers Venture, which participants have called life-changing and the best event they've ever attended. So welcome, Jon, to the call today.
Thank you so much, Carol. It's such a joy to be here with you and your audience. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you, if you're on this call, for whatever you had to do to create the time to join us live in particular. I know there's a lot of things you could be doing, so I just want to say I appreciate you and see you for being here and being committed to take your public speaking out into the world in a bigger way and to change more lives through what you do.
Wow, that's everyone has such a big purpose, right? And just get to more people. That's the most important thing, right, Jon?
Yeah, absolutely. And I really believe that public speaking is the best way to do that. You know, when you look at the ones who've really shaped history throughout time, Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, Mother Teresa, there's the inexorable connection between the impact they had on humanity and their public speaking. It's impossible to separate the two, the positive impact on people's lives and public speaking. And that's one reason why I love it so much, is that you really can change lives and change the world through the power of public speaking.
Wonderful. Well, Jon, tell us a little bit more about yourself. I barely touched on it, so how public speaking has changed your life.
Yeah, so I'll start with how I got into my business and came to be someone who is completely dedicated to empowering speakers worldwide to increase profits and their social impact. I'll start by saying I have a great life right now. I'm happily married to an incredible woman named Ronnie, and she's really my backbone with my business and runs all the events and really is my spiritual mentor and my best friend. I think we might want to mute anyone. That might be good if we're not muted already. But in any case, like in the past 5 years, like you mentioned, I've mentored over 500 speaker entrepreneurs to master their signature talk and to really have what we call their cash machine, that they can repeatedly be on stage and be generating great revenue every single time while transforming lives and having a lot of fun with public speaking. So before all that, when I started my company, it was 2011, and I was a music and arts festival promoter at the time. And before that, I had a screenwriting background. And I always kind of thought with a big, broad intention, I wanted to do something important with my life that touched lots of people, whether it be with movies or having like big international festivals like Coachella that's the path that I was on. And I started taking a lot of personal growth seminars when I turned 30 and questioning, what am I here for? What's this all about? And what I realized in that personal growth seminars was that the reason we're here, in my view, is to positively impact others. And through our positive impact of others, that's how we really get to discover who we are and why we're here. So taking my event background, I put on the Here and Now conference. This was in 2011. It was intended to be this ultimate convention for personal growth, like a Comic-Con for personal growth. And I had 40 speakers across 4 different ballrooms that I rented out in the hotel. So it was a big production, expensive production, and the reaction of my 300 attendees was the greatest I'd ever received for any event I'd ever done, where people were saying, thank you, Jon. I so love that you did this. This really changed my life, the amazing people I've met here. It was just that energy that I got hooked on, that yes, this is what I'm meant to do, these kinds of events from now on. I was done with the music and arts events after knowing that this was clearly where I was meant to play. The downside was that while I knew that personal growth and training and transformation was my world, was when I was by myself, and maybe you've had this experience before, where you're doing the accounting by yourself and then you see a whole different reality than what you thought. In my case, what I thought was a blockbuster event that was going to be really what set me off into the next stratosphere of my life turned out to be a real financial disaster. I remember being on my couch and seeing that after 6 months of planning that I had made just $1,300 net.
Wow.
So when you break that down, that's a little over $200 a month. So in that moment, I thought, well, I'm just screwed, right? I probably used a stronger word than that.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do next? Do I do another convention and start ramping up for next year's? That's a long sales cycle. And for all I know, this was the good one that actually made money. Maybe the next one, I'm really going to lose a lot. And at that moment, I thought maybe I shouldn't just not be an entrepreneur. Maybe I shouldn't. I'm just not able to make this thing work. And I began to glamorize a day job, and maybe any entrepreneurs listening to this can have that experience, right, where you kind of glamorize a day job. In my case, it was, maybe I'll go back to waiting tables at Applebee's, right, and just know that I can earn, with tips about $120 every single time that I went in for my shift, regardless if I was in a good mood or bad mood. That was going to be the outcome. And my biggest concern would be, would you like ranch with that, right? Like, how great would that be to be just not having to worry about any of this business stuff and trying to make it work? But at the same time, I think there was this deeper knowing that the purpose of my life was to make a positive difference in the world, and waiting tables at Applebee's would not really fulfill upon that. So I went to a seminar that was free. It was the only one that I could afford at the time, was a free seminar. And it was an incredible experience. One major breakthrough, just the bottom line, it was that I realized how much I was hiding. I was hiding behind my 40 guest speakers. I was hiding behind being the behind-the-scenes event promoter guy. I didn't believe that I was good enough to be on stage. I had a few different beliefs. One was that I wasn't good-looking enough. Another was that I wasn't a likable enough of a person. And the big one for me is that I wasn't expert enough. Like, who am I to be on stage? I'm not special enough in any one area in order to deserve to be on stage, right? And I really saw that at that point I had one of two choices. I could either declare myself an expert anyway and just go for it, or go back to Applebee's waiting tables. I had two choices at that time. And it was that voice that said, I'm here for something. I'm here to make a difference in people's lives. That said, declare myself an expert. So I joined the program, spent over $4,000. It was $397 per month for 11 months because I had to spread it out across what room I had in my credit card. And I put on a workshop, and it was something about business owners getting more customers, right? And I was invited a bunch of business owners there, and I delivered a talk that was nowhere near as polished as a signature talk. But I think on some level, even though it was really sloppy, people could tell I was authentic, that I really cared. And what happened is I gave out strategy sessions to everyone there, and I ended up selling 10 packages at $1,200 a piece and earned over $12,000 in 3 weeks. And whether that's a little money to you or a lot of money to you, it doesn't really matter. What matters is, for me anyway, in that time, that was the breakthrough of a lifetime, where it was that next level. And for me, that first breakthrough, or point of no return, represented that all the stories I had about myself, that I was a loser, that I could not succeed in business, that I was a money repellent, like there's the law of attraction, and this was the law of repulsion in my case, that money would just be repulsed by me. I actually believed that about myself. All of that got buried in the past for good, and I realized that I just didn't have the training. I just didn't have the step-by-step process to really make the difference I'm here to make. And in the past 4 years since then, it's just gotten better and better, now creating a multiple six-figure business and helping my clients do the same through mastering their signature talk and public speaking. And what I love about it is that with the people I get to serve, that in becoming world-class speakers, they really do become world-class human beings, because what's called forth is their level of leadership and producing results for themselves on stage and for their audience and their lives. And at the same time, there's also the love and compassion that you have to be a great speaker. Love and compassion for yourself and for your audience and where they're at. And that's why I absolutely love it, Carol.
Yeah, well, and living in alignment with purpose, right? And the only difference is just taking that step to get into that alignment. That's the biggest block that people have, or they feel stuck, is just getting that a little bit of expertise to start. And everyone starts somewhere, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I do believe that success is inevitable. When you are on a mission in life and you're spreading light onto the planet, that it's not in the darker energies of greed or scarcity driven, like lust for more and status, and try to prove to your parents you're not a loser and to the world, right? And how much can I make for myself? When you're not in that darker energy and you're on the light side of how can I make a difference in people's lives? How can I model for others what it's like to be an abundant human being and who really consciously chooses where you put your money, right? When you're coming from that light side, I do believe that the universe will always rally around that. And success is inevitable, and it can be accelerated tremendously with the right mentorship and guidance.
Right. It's here again, that purpose or alignment, allowing ourselves, just getting out of our own way, because our purpose is way bigger than ourselves. And we're in it together with community, and I mean, that's the strong point, is creating that community around us. And that's one thing that you're really big on, Jon, is about community. And
incredibly so. And thank you for touching up that. I'll just go a little deeper with why I'm so passionate about community. I remember a quote I heard early on was that environment trumps will, meaning that you could be a good person and genuinely love people and want to do great things in the world. But if you go to, say, the roughest prison on the planet and spend 5 years there, then you are going to be like the people you're surrounded by. You're going to be with all of that negative energy that you would probably experience in 5 years in the roughest prison. You're going to be like those people at the end of that time. So environment trumps will. Another way of saying it is that people are elevators. They're either taking us up or taking us down. If a butterfly can flap its wings and start a hurricane, then what can a human being in your life do to you impact-wise? So there's no neutrality here. They're either taking you up or taking you down. So one thing that I've been really particular about, and I really stand for each of my clients having this through the Speaker Venture community is that you're surrounded by up elevators, people that will always see you for your greatest self, who will believe in you even when you don't, who will give you resources because they choose abundance over scarcity, and also have real expertise and guidance and practical strategic tools that they can share with you as well. Yeah, community is so huge.
Well, that's what we turn to. I mean, that's human behavior is all about community and surrounding ourselves with the right people that believe in us. And otherwise, it's a lonely world out there.
Yeah, particularly as speakers, where it's kind of like being a Hollywood A-list celebrity, where you stand out in the room, and in any speaking event, you stand out because you're the speaker. So while it's on one hand great for business and great for the ego, and I think in a healthy way because you're doing it to serve and make a difference in people's lives, at the same time, you're absolutely right, Carol. It can be lonely and isolating at times. So just like if I was an A-list movie star, I would make my best friends other A-list movie stars. That would be my community. And so the same thing with speakers, have to do that with their community of speakers.
Yeah, and we have quite a strong community. And I believe it's only getting stronger even in the last 2-3 years. So many speakers are coming together and working and collaborating as one because everyone's got a piece of the puzzle in our evolution. And it just depends what the up-and-coming leaders and speakers are looking up towards the existing community and become friends with them. And you never know where you're going with it. Everyone has a piece of that puzzle. So, and one of the pieces of the puzzle is the signature talk, right? Yes,
very much so. One major reason why I'm so passionate about signature talk is that it takes all the fear and anxiety out of public speaking. Well, maybe not all the fear and anxiety out, because even Mick Jagger still gets nervous before he gets on stage. I do. I imagine you do, Carol. It's just part of the human experience. And I think what we've all learned is how to channel that energy in a positive way, actually use it for us. It's not something that stops us from getting up there, but it's actually just more energy that needs to move through us and can be allowed to show up even bigger and be our best self. But in terms of how it can take a lot of the fear and anxiety out of public speaking, you can think of it like an actor who, let's say, doesn't know their lines at all, and then arrives on stage or on set and doesn't know their lines and then attempts to improvise, right? You can pretty much assume that scene is going to be a mess with the other actors there, with the audience. It's going to be a mess. It's not going to work, right? Versus if you have an actor who has their lines so down that they can recite them in their sleep, right, and really knows them in their bones. And that same actor shows up on stage or on set and has these lines so down and then improvises. What happens then is magic, because the actor is relaxed and settled in and has got this so down, this character, the scene, and is able to improvise. That's some of the greatest moments that have ever happened on stage and on film, are those moments, right? So many examples of that. So that's what happens as a speaker, is that when you have your signature talk down, then you're able to be truly in the moment. You're not in this part of like winging it. Oh, that was a block that I had, where I thought, I don't want to have a signature talk because I'm going to be giving this canned speech every time. It's going to be boring. I'm going to be bored by it, and then my audience will be bored. And I justified it that I was just going to basically wing it and just be as authentic as I possibly can. That was a big word for me, was authenticity, and still is, but I have a different context for it now when it comes to speaking than I did then. And I just really want to point out what BS that is, that it's really about having your authenticity show up when you have your signature talk down. It's all in the delivery, right? But it's not in the design part. The design part has to be mapped out, just like a script has to exist before you put it on the stage. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, what I get from that is the word freedom through discipline. And the discipline is having that outline and allowing your brain to kind of latch on to something. And then the freedom is, the structure is there. Now you can allow that just to flow through. And it's creative energy is, we find structure through that discipline and the freedom to express, and through chaos. I mean, unless we're in chaos, we can't find structure. But when you're in structure, we can allow that, what I call creative chaos, Mother Earth energy, just automatically flows, and that becomes passion. But you have a direction for that passion.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we can be all over the map. It's like a GPS system that we can go straight to what we really want to speak about. I used to do it too, just wing it, and I'm really good at winging it.
Yeah, that's wow.
But it doesn't take anyone anywhere. All over the place.
You're justified, doesn't it?
Well, we all like that freedom, but
yeah, and I bet what you found is that when you started having your talk down, one, someone could call you up and say, we have a last-minute cancellation for a speaker. Are you able to come in? And the answer might have been in the past, oh, no, I need to prepare. I don't have anything. No, I can't. And then you lose out on tens of thousands of dollars in revenue, right? Versus saying, like, yeah, I can totally come in and do this, right? That's so huge. And there's such a high value on creating systems for your business. And I think this is especially important for us non-engineer-minded types who are creative, who are very heart-centered and big visions. It is especially important for us to be creating systems. And the Signature Talk is a system. It forces us to really dial in a good way on who we're meant to serve, what is the impact that we're here to make. And over time, if your vision is big enough, you will do what Warner Earhart has done or T. Harv Eker has done with Landmark Education and Peak Potentials, respectively, where they will have other people deliver their signature talk for them over time and then set up centers worldwide, right? That's the kind of impact you can have, but none of that can exist without a signature talk and having a system for leading your seminars and your workshops.
Well, you can duplicate your work and leverage in right now, I have students, I just hand over my talks to them, and they can run 3-hour introduction evenings. And
beautiful, you're doing it.
Yeah, yeah. Just I'm handing over my scripts.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now let use this outline, but now put it in your words and in a flow that works for them, so their authenticity comes through.
Yes. Yeah, that's perfectly on the head there, is that it's about having that script down, but then allowing their magic to come through their own authenticity and their own experience of it. And when you're called to make a big impact in the world, this to me is kind of a non-negotiable. If you're in the world of workshops and seminars, having a signature talk is really the most in alignment and way of being in integrity with your commitment to make a big impact. You kind of have, in my view, an moral imperative to do it. It's just part of the path. It's a requisite to have this so you can have the kind of impact that you're having, Carol, because you get to have a much bigger impact and have a greater business by having your facilitators leading your workshops for you versus if you had to do it all by yourself.
Yeah. The difference, too, is, I mean, just thinking on a little bit bigger scale, but it can be for an individual also, is you're big on niche markets or target specific audiences. Mm-hmm. And for me, I mean, I have had in the past, anybody with a body was my specific audience.
Yeah.
And now mine is, workshop leaders and presenters specifically. at the same time, with my people, I have students and people, master practitioners and teachers. I just say, hey, go after the holistic practitioner. You use the same outline and just a different specific audience, and just tie in the key words that what our trainings are about. It can be for entrepreneurs. You can change the language. It can be for corporate training. It can be for holistic practitioners or workshop leaders and presenters. So you can, don't change your signature talk. I think it's Lisa Sasevich. Don't change your signature talk, change your audience. And once you niche in with one audience, then you can change that for different audiences.
Yeah, that's kind of phase 2 kind of thing. I think it starts out with phase 1. And I know that there's people who are listening to this either live or recorded who might be in different stages of business growth.
Yeah.
So I would say, just to kind of add to that, that phase 1 would be having a very specific audience. Why that's so important is that when you commit to your audience will commit to you. And we mean they will show up to your events, they will show up to your one-on-one sessions, your strategy sessions, and they will invest with you financially, right? They will commit to you, but it starts with you because it's your business. You have to commit to them first. Probably the number one problem I see with service providers is that when they're starting out, they don't commit to a specific audience. So not shockingly, they attract a bunch of people who say, something came up, I can't come to your event. Or in a one-on-one strategy session, oh, God, I can't really afford that, and now's not a good time, right? And just that kind of stuff. So the power of commitment is so huge in this phase 1. And then you're right, Carol, as you get that down and you really have your signature talk down for that specific audience, then you can tweak it for different audiences. For instance, my signature talk on growing your business through public speaking and having a signature talk, I've used that for coaches, and I did it for financial planners last week, right? I did it for network marketers at Here and Now, or at Speaker Venture in particular, our event. We have lawyers, chiropractors, insurance people, realtors, coaches and consultants, of course, right? Anyone who is in the business of creating clients, they can use this model of having a signature talk for them. And that's one thing I love, because it does allow me to have a bigger impact in all these different industries.
Yeah, and here again, the even different industries, like you say, doctors, chiropractors, lawyers, it really doesn't matter what profession someone's in. One of the biggest fears is public speaking, and having that signature talk, like you say, takes away at least a good percentage of that fear that people have. I mean, it's even some of the greatest, like you say, the greatest speakers still have that butterfly in the stomach just before you go on stage. And once you connect with your audience and that signature talk just flows through you, it just takes all those barriers down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I think it would be good to go over some of the components of a signature talk.
Yes.
Because there is a very real structure behind a powerful signature talk that you will use as your cash machine. Every time you speak, you will generate great revenue from it, really in the tens of thousands, really is what my clients experience. So the 3 key parts of signature talk, and this would be the note-taking portion of the call. 1 is your personal story. 2 is your content. And 3 is your offer. So 1 personal story, 2 content, 3 offer. So let's go over those a bit individually. So your personal story, the reason that's so important is that whenever you see a speaker on stage, I know this is my experience, whenever I see a speaker on stage, the first question I ask is, who is this person and why should I care, right? Why should I listen to them, right? So what your personal story does is that it creates credibility and real relationship with your audience. That's why it comes first. the power of a great personal story is that your audience will already know they have to work with you before you even get into your content or offer. They don't know what you're here to share with them and what you're going to be offering them, but they know that you're the one for them. And a big part of this, and this is what we cover at Speaker Venture, is the hero's journey structure of your personal story. And one part of that hero's journey that is so important is the low point, that you really have a point that you can refer to in your life that will mirror the worst nightmare for your audience and what they're going through. So, for instance, you heard me share this a bit earlier on this call, where my audience are entrepreneurs who are looking to use public speaking to have a bigger impact in the world, right? But the issue that I point out being an entrepreneur is around my low point was when I was broke and going back to work at Applebee's, right? Because in my view, that's probably the worst nightmare for any entrepreneur, is to be broke and needing to get a crappy job, right? So that's the power of a low point. And every speaker has a low point if they feel called to speak to this audience. That is a great match for them. So I use the example of Tony Robbins, too, who anyone knows Tony Robbins knows two things about him regarding his low point is that he was very overweight and that he was homeless at some point. And the reason that we know that is because Tony makes sure that we know that about him.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Right? He makes sure that you know that about him because that's where his relationship and his credibility gets founded, right? And if he pulled himself out from being overweight and homeless, then he could be the one for you as well, right? That's the message it sends when you really communicate your low point and then sharing how you got out of it. So that's a bit about the personal story part of it, the part one. The second part is your content overview. So how we do this at Speaker Venture, we go much more in depth. But what the content really is your system for sharing whatever it is that you share. So let's say you are a health coach. Then you might have some system for how your clients can get optimal wellness, right? So you might call it like the Vibrancy for Life system, right? And you'll be sharing, say, 3 points that are essential inside of your Vibrancy for Life system. And that's what they'll experience inside of that 1 hour talk is the 3 points that you will say are essential for experiencing vibrancy for life, which then takes us to your offer, which they've now experienced your personal story and your content, the 3 points that you described, and now your offer will be to customize these 3 points for your attendees in a one-on-one session, right? Because you can only get so much out of being here for an hour and being in a group. So that's why what I'm going to gift to you is a one-on-one, what we call a magic session. You might call it a Vibrancy Forever session in this example. And you're going to customize that for them. And it's important to say the value of this is $500, right, so that there is value associated with this. But because you have attended this workshop, when you book it tonight, right, and it's absolutely very, very helpful if you book it tonight while there, get it in your calendar, and we have templates for how to do this, then it's my complimentary gift to you. And then during this Vibrancy for Life session that you have with them, now that they're in the calendar for the one-on-one, then you'll offer your package, right, your service or your retreat, your one-on-one sessions or whatever. And the reason I love this model so much is that because now you've given with the speaking event, they've experienced you that way, you've positioned yourself well, and they created a relationship through having this great signature talk, and your personal story, your content, and your offer is really clean and feels like a great gift to them. And then you give to them a second time with your one-on-one session, your magic session. So it creates a tremendous amount of goodwill and relationship that perfectly sets up your offer for $3,000, which is the starting point, I believe, for anyone. If you're just having clients for the first time, then $3,000 offer, or $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000. You're at that point where enough relationship has been created where it sets up the most powerful yes.
That's so true. It's and it qualifies them too. People want to first of all have that personal one-on-one to see if they're even a fit for the work that they're going into. And here you get someone to coach you through that and see if it's what exactly their needs are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's incredibly high value, and this is why a lot of the fear with the signature talk and just speaking in general is around the salesy part. This is one reason why people who do the work that we all do, being workshop leaders, seminar leaders, there's a greater fear because it merges two things that people are ordinarily petrified of, which are public speaking and sales. Right? Yeah. So one way around that is certainly when you're starting out, this is a great way to go, is don't make a paid offer from stage, right? Not when you're starting out. When you're starting out and you're just getting your signature talk down, and you will probably be doing your enrollment still one-to-one, not one-to-many. So you'll want to create this gift of this magic session, right? And I call it a magic session because it really should be a magical experience for your person. This is not like a 15 or 30-minute free consult thing, right? This is really where a real breakthrough occurs for your client, regardless, your potential client, regardless if they become an actual client or not. That really is what the commitment should be. And yes, they are definitely qualified after having experienced your talk and then being with you one-on-one. Then that's about as primed as they can be to see, yes, you are the mentor for them, or no, it's not a fit.
Yeah, and I think even that focus, it's a mindset also. When we have that connection or a deeper connection with another person in that we care enough to ask what they need. That's when the magic really starts to happen, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Something that we say a lot at Speaker Venture is, and with all my clients, is that this is a dialogue, guys. This is not a monologue at any point, and it's especially useful to remember that when you're speaking on stage, and certainly during a one-on-one, that in a dialogue, our speaking is a result of our listening, right? In a monologue, there's no listening, and it's just a one person kind of just doing their thing, right? But those are boring, right? And it kind of reminds me of like the teacher from Ferris Bueller, right? That kind of public speaking. This is really a dialogue, and that's how really all speaking events should be, and one-on-one sessions in particular should be as well, right? Where there's such a listening that we bring, a clean listening that is not based in projection, or if there is any projection, it's only about seeing the greatness in others and what's possible for them, right? And we're continually holding them to that highest self. But yeah, you're so right, Carol, that the listening is where it all starts from, and really allowing people to know that you got them, you care for them, that you're there for them. That has to be set up from the very beginning as soon as they walk into your speaking event.
It becomes, a conversation that instead of talking at people, it's more talking with the person by asking those certain questions. And and
at the same time, it's clear that you're the leader of it. So I think of a great boss or a great general in the military, right? There is that ability to lead while still understanding their people whom they're leading, right? That they get the experience that their voice is clearly heard, that they are respected. We have to find our own similar balance with our clients as well.
Right. So tell us a little bit more about your event coming up.
Yes, and I'm so happy to do that because you're going to be at it too with me. So Speaker Venture is a 3-day event, And it happens every 3 months, but what we're going to talk about is the next one. Speaker Venture is both a speaker training and a high-level networking event for getting speaking gigs for speaker entrepreneurs. What happens at Speaker Venture is 3 key things, the 3 pillars of Speaker Venture. One is your signature talk, really mastering your signature talk, where we focus on the design and delivery of it. So the design part will be working on those 3 parts that I described, your personal story, your content, and your offer. We have templates that will be given to you throughout the weekend. You'll be writing that out and crafting that and working side by side with each other and with me in the room as well. And then there's the delivery part where you actually get to go up on stage and deliver parts of it. Usually it's the personal story that we focus on, and that's where the biggest breakthroughs happen. And it's my personal favorite part of the weekend, where your whole experience and context for public speaking and leading workshops and seminars gets forever shifted. You'll get loving feedback from the audience and then breakthrough coaching from me on stage, which is my core genius. And I absolutely love it because truly lives get changed as a result of getting up on stage and doing it. So that's one pillar of Speaker Venture, is mastering your signature talk. The second pillar is around getting speaking gigs, because it's one thing to have a signature talk, but then if you don't have anywhere to speak, then it's kind of pointless. So that's why we put a huge focus on channeling all of our energy around marketing and networking to one thing. It's about getting speaking gigs. So we have a system that we'll be sharing how to book speaking gigs, how to do stage trades so that you ensure you're on stages on a consistent basis throughout the year and earning money year-round. And then there's the networking you'll be doing with people in the room. You're in a room full of about 50 speakers. It's relatively intimate. This isn't like a cattle call event. This is about having the right people in the room. So people who have stages, people who have spoken on stages, people who have been at events at which there have been multi-speakers, they can all share resources with you, and you'll share resources with them. And then what happens is that people walk away with 3 speaking gigs booked they wouldn't have otherwise. And over time, with the relationships they have in the room, even more than that. So that's the second pillar, is around speaking gigs that you'll gain from the event. And the third pillar are the amazing guest experts whom we have coming in. So one of whom is you, Carol, and I'm so excited to be having you there. And do you want to share a little bit about what you'll be covering at the event?
Well, I'll be covering about delivery and body language, and especially sacred body language from the stage. So I'm giving people practical tips and applications already how to take the stage with power. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Work with
wonderful. And the reason that's beneficial is that, in my view, people can get pretty stiff on stage. They can get locked up in their head, and the work we're doing around crafting your signature talk, it can feel like, wow, I got a lot to memorize here. And the problem with having that context of I got a lot to memorize here is that it becomes even more heady and stiff. And that's why I said screw the signature talk when I started out. Just wanted to be authentic, right? But the reality is that you need both. You need to have eventually your signature talk more or less memorized, and you can have your notes up there, but have that down. And then what, Carol, you'll be covering around how to really embody it and with the delivery part of that. So I'm super excited to be having you there for that. Other guest experts we have are Nana Kasha, who'll be talking about how to write a best-selling book and really position yourself as an expert, which will get you a lot more speaking engagements. Jeffrey Van Dyke will be there, who was my mentor for a couple of years and CEO of Big Vision Business with him and Max Simon. Jeffrey's an incredibly brilliant spiritual leader, and we'll be covering about some really deep ways of connecting with your audience in ways you've never have before. We also have a TEDx organizer panel where the people who come to Speaker Venture are all ones who, on some level, could see themselves giving a TED Talk one day. So if that's you, then you'll find this incredibly juicy, where I've never seen this before. So what I've done is I've gotten TEDx organizers, the local TEDx conferences, and created a panel of them on stage at Speaker Venture so that you can ask them any questions you want, and actually get to the heart of the mystery of how do you get on a TEDx stage. You can discover that through them, and you can network with them too. And they said that it's all relationship-based, so who gets to have a TED Talk. So by being in the room with them and having lunch with them as well, that's another thing of Speaker Venture, is that lunch is included. And all the experts, this is a non-selling platform. It's not a pitch fest. You, Carol, and all of our amazing experts are there because you want to contribute and you want to connect and give value and deepen relationships. So that's why you get to have lunch with the guest experts and really ask them anything that you want to grow your business. They're really there to serve you. So that's the world of Speaker Venture. And
was
should
there
I just
more, or I can't remember.
Yeah, would this be a good time to invite your audience to join us?
Yes, sure.
Okay, fantastic. So if you suspect this might be for you, if any of this resonates with you at all, we have an application process, right, which is more of like an interview so I can get to know you first, because my commitment with Speaker Venture is that you get the greatest results possible. Another commitment of mine is that the right people be in the room so that you can get the greatest results possible. So that's why this isn't some flashy, like register now thing and price slashing and all that. I'll tell you what the investment is, that while this has a value of easily $5,000, because you're going to have your signature talk, your cash machine, the speaking gigs that you'll gain from this, and one speaking gig alone, as we said, can be worth tens of thousands of dollars over time. The investment for Speaker Venture for you guys is just $997, right? Normally it's $1,500, but I really want to have Carol, your tribe there, so the investment is just $997. So if you feel that you would like to be there, it's going to be July 24th through 26th at Sheraton Carlsbad Resort and Spa, really beautiful location we have in North County, San Diego. Then go to speakerventure.com right now, speakerventure.com, and hit the apply now. This is a no obligation thing. I just want to be able to connect with you and see if this is something that would truly serve you. And so if you're curious about it at all, if you think it might benefit you but you have questions, the best way is just to apply now at Speaker Venture. Again, it's no obligation, and this is my opportunity to connect with you and see how Speaker Venture and I can serve you. I want to point out one other thing, that Speaker Venture is held every 3 months. So if you know that July works for you, July 24th through 26th, then apply right now at speakerventure.com. And if those dates don't work for you, then you can do a later one. There's one in October, and then we start up again in 2016 in late January. So the pillars are the same. The experts will be different. So if anything I've said throughout this time has resonated with you, then apply now as well. And we could see about having you in October or the 2016 ones as well. So I really look forward to connecting with you, and I'll reply back personally within a day, and we'll get something scheduled via phone or Skype.
Oh, that's fabulous, and what a great place to have it. We all love San Diego, right? Mm-hmm. Isn't that where the Chopra Center is, too?
Actually, yes. Chopra Center is in Carlsbad as well. Yeah, so you can pop over there as you will, just not while we're in session, but yeah, you can pop over.
Well, adding a day or two is always beautiful. Beautiful time of year, too. Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. So
catapult into a new adventure.
Yes. Do we have time for any question and answer?
Well, I don't. We can turn it on. There's open up Q&A. If anyone has any questions, that would be great. So someone's asking if there's hotels close by, or how does it work? Is it in a conference center or?
Yeah, really great question. So the Sheraton Carlsbad Resort and Spa is a beautiful hotel that you can certainly stay in. We have negotiated a lower rate for you. Now, that said, since it is kind of high season, what we've done with certain people is that we've created a list of hotels that are lower rates than this one. So we have a lot of options for you depending on what you what's your budget for hotels. So, yes, the best thing is just to apply, and then we'll connect, and then I'll introduce you to my wife, who I think is worth applying for just to talk to her.
Yeah.
My amazing wife, Ronnie, will support you with all the hotels and accommodations. And if you have flight questions as well, she can help you.
Wow, wonderful. Also, you said there was only, about 50 people there?
Yeah, we keep it intimate. Yeah, because I want people to be able to get up on stage. I want people to be able to really meet one another and have real relationships. I've been, as I'm sure you have, Carol, at events where there's 300 or 500 people. And I feel at a certain point, and I personally feel that point is about 150, where there's some diminishing returns at that point. It starts to be uncool, and it starts to be more about the speaker and how much money they can make at their event and selling from stage than it is really about serving the audience. I honestly believe that, and that's just my full transparency there. So love
it's the practical application to leave with something in your hand, like your skeleton of your signature talk. Even if, I still tweak my talks after years. You still, here I could say this better or that better. So.
Yeah.
When you have at least a starting point, and it's to get started, that takes focus. And when you're with other peers, then they give you so much feedback on, with the expertise in the room, is what works and what doesn't work. Why go it alone? I always say, why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah,
and
completely agree. And
life,
be this size, you get a variety of perspectives, and as I said, these are all the up elevators, the people who raise you up, and no one gets left behind. What I found at these larger events, all have questions, and then this just one event in particular that you've probably been to, Carol, where the trainer on stage just told me to stop asking questions because it was slowing him down from going through the curriculum, right? And that kind of pissed me off because I'm there to really grow my business. If I got questions, I want them to be addressed. So that was a really dismal experience. And one of those things I think happened in my life so that when I'm leading my seminars and my live events, that everyone really is so well taken care of, from the buffet lunch that we all have together to each of the days of the healthy snacks we have throughout, and our fun energy raising exercises that we do. Everyone is just really well taken care of, I can honestly say. And my wife does a great job of this, making sure of that too.
No, wonderful. Well, it's here again, it's having that practical experience, even a little, on stage, and being able to. The turning point story is huge. For people, and they don't always. It's a hard one because we have to go to that vulnerable side of who we are to really get clear where our turning point was, and how to get the audience to relate to that on the human side of things. And that's what I love about the turning point story specifically.
Yeah, very beautiful. Healing, and I know you know what I mean, where it's a beautiful healing experience for you to really be reliving those low points and how you were able to transform your life through it. And because your audience is there, I have a movie background, so I use those kind of metaphors frequently, where just like a great movie, it can have the power to heal you when you are really experiencing what the person you're watching experienced. And we get to create that for people. Only it's even more powerful because it's not fiction, and it's live. You're in person. It's the most powerful way, I think, to really create healing for people, certainly in a group setting, is through these kinds of events and delivering your personal story in this kind of way. Yeah,
and how it comes out, too. It's and it positions your whole rest of your what you're speaking about. So can't say enough of that, where people will put out credentials and they'll put out all this other stuff, but not their getting to their vulnerable side, and that's where we really do connect with the audience. Is they fall in love with our vulnerability, not with our perfectionism.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really about having that positioning as well. We need that context for why you are the mentor for them, and you have the experience and the wisdom, right, to guide them. And what you just said, Carol, being able to have that low point of vulnerability. If you have those two, then you're going to generate clients every single time you speak. That's just the inevitable result.
So, Jon, tell us once again the dates and for the next one up and coming, and also how to get a hold of you again, how to apply to be a part of this exciting adventure.
Yes, I love that, this exciting adventure. The next one will be held July 24th through 26th. It's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. On Friday and Saturday, we go from about 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., which includes about an hour, 15-minute lunch as well. And on Sunday is a little shorter. It's 9 a.m. to 5:30. It's at the Sheraton Carlsbad Resort and Spa in beautiful North County, San Diego. And you can apply at speakerventure.com. Speakerventure.com. Hit apply now. And I'm super accessible, guys. You can find me on Facebook, Jon Block, and email me, john@hereandnownetwork.com, and just mention Carol, and I'm delighted to connect with you. So in whatever capacity, if you see other partnership opportunities, then we can certainly explore that. However, if you are a speaker looking to grow your business through public speaking and what we've been covering around signature talk and getting more speaking gigs, then I think it's certainly worth exploring if Speaker Venture is for you, in which case I look forward to seeing your application and following up with you and connecting further.
So even if they're listening to the recording, they still have access to you, and don't be shy, right?
Definitely, that won't help you grow in being shy. So
exactly. Well, a lot of people, it's just picking up the phone is the first step, and even that one little baby step, and it's planning the future. And even if the time isn't now, but at least they've taken that step and get a little bit of clarity, and you're more than willing to assist them in that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know me, Carol. Really easy,
exactly.
and I'm here to serve. So I look forward to that. And I know we're coming up on the top of the hour, so I just want to say one final thing is that when I consider the people on this call, that you're here either live or listening to a recording, that this is no accident that you're here. And the way that I see you is the way that I see Martin Luther King, Gandhi, Oprah, Rhonda Byrne, right, created The Secret. Those are examples of lives that are fully expressed and making a big positive difference in the world, spreading light. That's how I relate to you as well, that you have your own version of that to get out. And I just love you and honor you for that, and I'm excited to be your partner with really realizing that in the greatest way possible.
Oh, wonderful, Jon. So pick up the phone or go to the website and apply and have that conversation with Jon. And it can be very life-changing. So it just takes it just takes the intention of taking that baby step into creating your greatest life and your own. I say your life is your stage, so take it with power.
Yes.
So thank you, Jon, for being here, and we will so look forward to seeing you in July, and I'll be spending all 3 days there with your people and being of service as much as possible. So thank you once again, Jon, for sharing all your wisdom.
My pleasure, Carol. Thank you so much for creating this arena for all of us to come together.
Okay, thank you. Bye now.